The Harvard Kennedy School recently hosted a conference titled Post-Pandemic Future of Homeschooling in response to the increase in American families that, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, chose homeschooling. As part of the conference, a presentation on Are Homeschoolers Prepared for Life looked at the academic preparedness of homeschoolers and the trends in life outcomes. Joining me in the lounge is Shirley, Erwee and Marita Green. Shirley, the panelists, Professor Christian Wilkins and Professor Jennifer Jolly, shared research that indicated that American home-educated students do not show better academic or life outcomes than their school-attending peers. Did you expect this result?
I must admit, I was rather surprised when I heard that. It was cumulative research that they had looked at, because in the last couple of years, or previously, I had read research that showed that homeschoolers far outperformed their school-going peers in standardized academic tests and also in studies that looked at them as adults. But I realized that one of the problems with doing research on home education is that in many instances, the participants who take part in the surveys self-select. In other words, those families or those individuals who know that they've done well will be eager to participate. But individuals or parents with kids who haven't done well academically or perhaps haven't really succeeded yet as young adults, they'll probably be less inclined to participate in surveys. And so you would get skewed results, and it can be expected. And so the other thing that I did find interesting was that they said that on your standard bell curve, they sort of have a wave like this of academic achievement. In the home education community, there's more people on the extremities. So you have more children who struggle with learning on the one side, and you're inclined to get a lot of children who are academically gifted on the other extreme. And so I think we need research done in South Africa, and we need to remember this information when we look at that kind of research and when it is done. It's going to be very interesting to have our own research at some point, hopefully soon.
At the end of the school year, the whole country waits with bated breath for the release of the matric results. Academic performance is often used as a measure of the quality of education. Marita, is this a reliable measure, or is education about more than passing or matriculating with honours?
Well, now I think I first want to mention one thing. It's when we look at this research and they say that the home educated were the same as the school-going peers, in my view, it's a good thing, because it shows that parents are just as capable to teach their own children. So, which is a good thing. But if we then only look at academic performance, it was a good measure maybe for the industrial age and for the knowledge age, but we don't live there anymore. Now we live in the conceptual age, where the innovation economy thrives. And what is needed in the innovation economy is creativity and innovation and enthusiasm. And these things you can't really measure. You can't put it on a scale and measure how enthusiastic a child was or how creative a child is. Creativity, one can't say is, can you draw or can you paint or can you play piano? This is not what I mean. What I mean when I say creativity, I mean, can you solve problems in a different way? Not in a way that has been done before, but in a novel way. And these things are more important, and we can't really measure that. I think these are the areas as well that home educators will thrive in. That's what I think.
You are both home education veterans and are involved in the home education community. Now, from your experience, how do home education families measure success? And do they all aim for entrance at top universities?
I'll jump in. My impression is that there are many homeschoolers who do aim for university. And I think for parents especially, it's very rewarding to see your children score well on school exit exams and to do well academically at university, because it's proof that your homeschooling was successful. And unless you're following a school at home program that's testing your kids every year. Many homeschooling parents, they just know that they're doing well, but now they've got this visible proof that they can share with family and friends and any skeptics. But I think there are also many who are taking alternative routes and finding other ways to succeed in life and in their careers. I know of one young man who taught himself animation while homeschooling with a very flexible, unschooling, self-directed approach. And he then got work on a freelance platform online. And he did such good work that the companies he worked for kept using him. And he was eventually working full-time, self-employed, freelance. I think he was married in his early 20s and able to live anywhere and support his wife with the skills that he had taught himself without any formal credentials. And there are people who are doing these new modern jobs that are more unconventional, that you can do courses online or teach yourself skills and become entrepreneurial. So the answer is yes, but it's also no. I think we're an out the box community generally, and so there's going to be a lot of different pathways to career success, at least.
Marita, do you want to add something?
I'll just add this thing. Shirley actually summed it up very well. But I would add this, for most homeschoolers, it's more important to learn how to learn and how to find information for yourself than to learn something parrot fashion that has been pre-selected based on your age and then try and score according to that. So I think they think differently. So they think so differently that you can't really put it in a box and say a child is successful when they have achieved 80% in this because they have in a pre-selected area. So it is very different. One can't put it on the same scale, I don't think.
So now, how do we measure success? How do I know I'm not failing my child?
I think I'll go first, Marita, if you don't mind. I think there's a difference between measuring academic success and looking at your child as a whole and their personality. And I think people who are following the national curriculum, for example, in school or even out of school, are perhaps more focused on academics, or maybe not more, but they are definitely focused on measuring that and achieving the same grades and levels at the same ages and milestones as the school system. But as Marita said earlier, in this economy, you need more than academic skills to succeed. And to be an entrepreneur, you need a different skill set perhaps than to be an academic. And I think if we're only looking at academics, we're not measuring things properly, because what does it help if you get good grades and score well, but you're suffering from an identity crisis or got depression, or you grow up and your marriage fails because you haven't got good relationship skills? I think success is more than just academics or a good job.
Something that I'll just add at this point is if we have to just talk about education, we should probably define what we mean when we say education. Is education molding and shaping and putting it inside a specific box, or does education mean to draw out the potential that is in the child? And if we say it is to individuals, we don't look the same, we don't do things the same way. So if we say draw out the potential, then academics is a small part of it. It's really, really small. Other things that will be important will be the building of relationships, because there's no point if you are very, very smart, but you can't work with people around you because you don't have that people skills. It is also no good if you don't know how to look after yourself, your body and your mind and your spirit. You don't know how to keep yourself fit. You don't know what your passions are. You go to school and you maybe end up at university, but you still don't know what your passions are and what will drive you in life. These things are also very important. And then another thing that is also important, is actually so important, is enthusiasm. It's not really very good if we learn, but we are not enthusiastic about what we are doing, because in the end it stifles us. It does not develop us fully. You should not just pay attention to only the academics, there is so much more to pay attention to than just the academics, because we want to develop the entire person, the whole person, not just a small fraction of who they are.
You both have adult children, and they were home educated. How are they doing?
I can probably start first. Our eldest is now 24. She went the university route. She's a cum laude student at the moment. She has been, according to Brian Ray's research, who said that these homeschool children are doing 20 to 30% better than their schooling peers. This has been my experience. She has been 20 to 30% better than her peers at university, and she stays there. So yeah, she's at the moment, she's got a scholarship to complete the 4th year at the University of Johannesburg. So that is where we are with her.
My eldest is also a daughter, and she first took 2 gap years. She went overseas and worked as an au pair in Switzerland, was accepted to study at university, and then felt she wasn't quite sure if that's what she wanted to study, and decided she'd go an au pair again. So she went back to another country, another family, and spent a year there working, studying, traveling, and learning French and learning learning Dutch in Belgium. And then she decided to actually study something else, which I think is more suited to her personality type. So she's in her 2nd year, and last year she was also the top of her class and was awarded prizes, and I was on the dean's list. So she didn't do any school exams until she wrote her GED as her school exit exam, and she followed that with the SAT. So it's been great to see that she's got the motivation and the skills to do well academically. My son also did very well on his GED, and he's very good with IT kind of things, but he's not sure what niche of that industry he wants to go into. So at the moment, he's working in an online study business that I also run. And, you know, I think we don't need to push and rush children to just go and study something because everybody else does that at 18. So I know that he's quite competent and capable. It's just a matter of him deciding what he wants to do. And then my other daughter, who's finished, is quite arty and thinking of doing graphic design, but she wants to first find some work and get a little bit of experience in that field before she puts time and energy into studying. And she's been doing some part-time graphic design work for, you know, local businesses as well. So just as a freelance, not sort of working for the company, but she's only 19, and I think she can have a year or two to kind of just get experience and then make up her mind. So that's where they are.
And now I just want to add something to this, and that is to say, because my children, I think, did extremely well. My second daughter is also starting university this week, actually. They are not poster children, and each child will develop differently and will have different skills. And we should not try and think that every homeschool child will have this amazing and will do very well. Each child is different. They need to fit inside where they feel that they are called to, and it does not look the same for every child. So children are not a failure because they have not succeeded as the top people at universities. Mm-hmm. That is not how we measure success. So I think this should just be pointed out as well at this time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Thank you very much for your time and your insights. Yeah, thank you.